All right, so this is going to be a little bit of a different episode because between NBA news and like the craziest day in college basketball ever, we're going to have segments where we do a little bench mob and a little at-large bid today. Just because you never have a day where the first top 6 teams in the poll lose in the same day, and then you also have everything going on in the league. So it's going to be a goofy episode, but we're going to knock it out. We're going to start here. It's me, Tim Daniel, with Sean Mackey as always, and Sean. Let's just get right into the news here and talk about a few things. And we got to start with James Harden has now played his first 2 games as a member of the Philadelphia 76ers and had looked incredible. We know that I am not one who's been very pro James Harden in the past, but what he's been able to do these first 2 games, had a triple double today against the Knicks, and the other night with the Timberwolves, had a really good showing. You can see that him and Joel Embiid are already developing a really impressive chemistry as a team, as a group. I mean, obviously they're 2 of the 10 best players in the world. But seeing how this could play out, seeing how this could work, certainly makes them scary. Then you add Tyrese Maxey and what he's doing. This Sixers team, it's kind of crazy when your best 3 players actually play, and we're seeing what's happening with that so far.
Yeah, James Harden is he always does this thing where anytime he gets traded, he has to go out and make a big show, which was obviously once again the case this week when he showed up with played on the same team as the possible MVP Joel Embiid. Um, a couple years ago, well, a year ago, when James Harden was the Knicks, dropped 32 points, 14 assists, and 12 rebounds. Last night, or the first game he played against the Timberwolves with the 76ers, he dropped 27 points, 8 rebounds, 12 assists. In the next game against the Knicks, just really gave it to the Knicks, 29 points, 10 rebounds, 16 assists, and 5 steals, which is just absolutely unreal right now. I mean, even looking back, when he was traded from the Thunder to the Rockets, he dropped here on his first game there, he ended up dropping 37 points, 12 assists, 6 rebounds, 4 steals, block. So every time he's been traded, he has went out and put on a gigantic show. Here's the thing. So the Philadelphia 76ers had Ben Simmons not playing the entire year, so he was offering them absolutely nothing.
Right.
They got a past MVP for a player that wasn't going to play with them. So anybody, I don't know how many people are out there going, oh, I should have held out or whatever. This was a huge move for Daryl Morey, and putting Harden on this team at this point, even with the trade of Seth Curry and everything, I think this might make them front runners right now for the NBA title. What do you think? You're not going to go there
They're
yet?
definitely up there.
Okay.
They're definitely up there. I really like them a lot.
Would you say top 2 or top 3?
Top 2. I still
Okay.
really like Milwaukee. Okay, top. Are we talking in the conference or the whole league in general?
We're talking conference.
Okay, top 2 in the conference because I still really like Milwaukee, and those guys have played together. They haven't had any of this like change of chemistry where they're bringing guys in, throwing guys out. They haven't had a ton of drama. Besides Grayson Allen just being a dick. But yeah, so Pat Connaughton's out for them, but they still have majority of their core together. So I really like the Bucks a lot. Obviously when you have Giannis, you have a chance. But yeah, I'm really, really impressed with this team. You saw it today, like you mentioned, the game Harden had the triple double in the Garden, which is always a fun place to play for those guys. And Joel Embiid on top of that had 37 points and 9 rebounds. So that's pretty impressive. Yeah. They didn't get a whole lot from their defense. I mean, from their bench. Also forgot that Willie Cauley-Stein is playing for the Sixers. That's weird.
I also forgot about that. When did that happen?
Like, must have been fairly recent.
Okay. That one slipped under my radar. I didn't even know he was still in the league, to be completely honest with you. I always liked Willie Cauley-Stein.
Yeah. Well, since you like the Sixers a little bit, now you can like him more. But yeah, I like this team a lot. And I think when you look at the East, particularly, how it's just basically like, this insane gauntlet, 1 through 8. as far as the standings, because Brooklyn's 8 with everything they've been going through. Of those top 8 teams, the weakest is probably Toronto, and they're still pretty good. So
Yep.
it's definitely going to be interesting.
Now, at this point, you mentioned the Nets. You said they're at 7th in the standings or 8th in the standings?
8th in the standings. They're 32 and 29.
Okay, so with that being said, and we'll get into Kyrie in a little bit, but would you put them in the top 3 or no?
No.
Nope, you're still not going with it. Okay.
No, it's just, obviously anytime you have Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving, you feel pretty good about it, but we really still have no freaking clue what Ben Simmons is at this point, because everyone's like, the idea of Ben Simmons makes a ton of sense for the Nets.
Yeah.
But, the idea of Russell Westbrook, no, that didn't make sense for LeBron. The idea of Isaiah Thomas made sense for LeBron in Cleveland. The idea of him.
Yes.
But, obviously we know how that went.
Sure.
So it's just hard to kind of see, we whatever they get from him is really going to kind of be the deciding factor. But, do I think that they're certainly going to be the team that comes out of the play-in? Absolutely. You got to trust them a lot more than you trust Toronto, Charlotte, and Atlanta, obviously. But I don't know if I like them better than I like the way the Celtics are playing lately. The Celtics have been awesome. I don't know if I definitely like them more than the Cavaliers, but I would not be shocked if the Cavaliers just gave them fits and gave them a run for their money if that ended up being a matchup. I don't like them more than I like the Bulls. I know the Bulls lost last night, but I still really like that team when they're all healthy. So, yeah, I think it's just kind of they're difficult. Would it shock me if they won the East? No. But it feels like last year's Laker team where it was like they had to play in the play-in and just, things just didn't go their way. They had too many injuries, and feels like it could be a similar story with them.
Yeah, and their depth is also a huge issue as well in my mind.
Yeah.
So I'm not even
Andre Drummond stinks now. he stinks. I don't know. Have you watched him since basically since he was a Laker, since he left Cleveland, he stunk.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I haven't watched a whole lot of Andre Drummond this season. So, but yeah, I was kind of out on him after the Lakers season because we thought that he was going to be, oh man, this is going to be good, man. He's going to slip right in there, and I think that
he did play pretty well last night, but
that very, very short stint that he had with the Lakers, I feel like that really, it would have probably been better for him just to set out the rest of the season than sign with him, in all honesty, in terms of his value, because I feel like everybody was out on his value after that small stint there with the Lakers, but they can make anyone look bad these days.
Yeah. I also love that for every team he's played for. So was it he wore 0 in Detroit, wore 3 in Cleveland, wore 2 in LA, and he's wearing 1 now. So he's wearing 0, 1, 2, 3. When if you look at his basketball reference page,
I didn't know that. That's a fun fact. Thanks for kind of like Dennis Rodman's 91 adding to 10.
Yeah, and then 73 with the Lakers. That short time he was there.
Yeah. Everything always adds to 10 with him. So I get it. But yeah, I think going back to James Harden, I feel like James Harden has I think he has invigorated the Philadelphia 76ers. I feel like Joel Embiid finally has a running mate this year who actually appears. James Harden's always kind of wishy-washy, but I feel like he has something to prove this year. And also him going to Philly, if he, say he ends up in the NBA finals this year, let's say he wins an NBA title this year. I mean, how bad is that going to make the Nets organization look?
Not great, Bob.
Not great.
Yeah. Well, we had a couple Nets topics that we were going to get into today, so I guess we can just kind of go for them back to back. Might as well. And obviously, the first one, the big news of the day, is obviously that I got the quote up here. I'm going to pull it right back up real fast from the New York City mayor saying that. So Eric Adams, New York City mayor, says, if we see no surprises this week, New York will remove the vaccination requirements for Key to NYC on March 7th, which means Kyrie Irving will be able to play home games at the Barclays Center again. And you and I have talked a lot about this and just the indecency of a human being that Kyrie Irving has been throughout the
Yep.
process, just trying
Yep.
to be controversial and attention seeking.
Yep.
I know a lot of people don't see it that way, and I know a lot of people don't love that I said that, but let's call it what it is. So look, the Nets are getting closer to full strength. They're gonna have Kyrie Irving for home games now. It never, I don't know, like, they gave in to him with the whole like, we'll let him play road games, be a part-time player thing, and we talked about that already. How much I hated that.
Yeah.
It's basically because the reports kind of say it's basically because of him. There's a lot of reports out there that James Harden left and didn't want to play anymore because he was frustrated with his bullshit, basically.
Oh, so there's talks that he was kind of blaming Kyrie for just
yeah,
the drama in Brooklyn.
yeah.
Okay.
Those three literally played 16 games together. Isn't that kind of
Yeah.
wild?
Yeah, it doesn't shock me. NBA moves so fast.
But like Irving went from the guy that was like, I'm gonna leave LeBron. I don't want to play with LeBron. To now he's the guy that people are like, I don't want to play with you, man. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Also, I'm really getting annoyed by people who are saying Kyrie Irving should be on the NBA 75 list.
No. There are so many other players that should have been on there that weren't Kyrie. I mean, I'm going to put Dwight Howard on there.
Right.
Immediately. Like, I feel like he was the most left out, but Kyrie Irving does not belong on there at all, man. No.
If you take the shot away, he's just another really good point guard.
You know what? Why don't we put Robert Horry on there too? Let's just do it.
Right.
You know, I mean, honestly, it's like, I feel like and I'm completely honest about this, and I truly believe this. I feel like Robert Horry was a bigger piece to all of his championship teams than Kyrie has been to all of his teams combined. I mean, he won the one championship with the Cavs, and the 1 year before it where he ended up getting hurt and everything. I get it, but like, I don't think he's obviously a multi-time All-Star and probably one of the best finishers, one of the best ball handlers I've ever seen. But it's like,
yeah, talent-wise, sure. I mean, absolutely. He's talent-wise, he's incredible. But yeah, it's just like, if you like as far as his legacy, if you take away the fact he made the shot in the 2016 finals, like the best he did was played in one game of the finals before he got hurt, which it sucked he got hurt, obviously. And so I'm not saying that, but like in Boston, they make it to the second round and they lose to Milwaukee. That's his last year there. First year he gets hurt early in the playoffs. Remember, he doesn't even play. Brooklyn the first year he doesn't play in the playoffs because he doesn't go to the bubble. And then last year he's hurt pretty early. So the best he's done by himself without LeBron James is he played in the second round.
Yeah.
Like, I think it injuries suck. Injuries take a lot away from that. But yeah, I can't put him on there, especially like I said, Dwight Howard. Like, come on.
Yeah. No, there's no. I don't understand who's arguing this. Where did you read this?
A lot of people. Like, it's all over the like.
Show him
Andre
to me.
Iguodala.
Where are these people? I want to talk to him.
Andre Iguodala is even trying to make the case that he should be top 75. And I'm like, I understand Hoopers love Kyrie and people love his game, and like I get it. His game's a blast, but no, like his legacy is not that. And like when people are like bitching about like Carmelo Anthony, and I'm like, Carmelo Anthony at least won a scoring title. Like Carmelo Anthony was a major all-star, like came in like one of the greatest draft classes of all time. Like, yes, he should
also most decorated Olympian basketball player of all time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So Carmelo has a leg to stand on with all of that in my book. Like he's had a great NBA career. He's never won the title, but he's had a great NBA career, and it's been better than Kyrie's. It's not even close. So
yeah, let's also remember that Dolph Schayes made this list. Can we just kind of go back to the fact that Dolph Schayes is on the list?
Hey man, still better than Kyrie, right?
No.
What, you don't think so?
No.
Okay.
I mean, Bob Cousy never shot over 40% in a season ever, and he made the list. So
yeah, but he was more of a legacy guy who, helped the league get out on its thing. I mean, let's see here. So Dolph Schayes, NBA champion, 12-time All-Star, NBA rebounding leader in 1951. He was the Rookie of the Year. He was a Coach of the Year at one point. He was All
Oh.
NBA 6 times, All NBA second team six times as well. So I mean, I'll give him. He's got some credentials there, Tim. He's got some credentials.
I'm not buying it, but that's a story for another episode. Maybe when like 25 years.
Tim's got to
we're
run
sitting
over
here
a guy. Tim's got to run over a guy who's been dead for 7 years in his legacy.
Maybe in 25 years, when we're sitting here doing the all 100, and we're bitching about the fact that like
Dolph Schayes will be off of the 100. There's no way he's on the next one.
He was on the 50.
He made it by this much. Okay.
Yeah. So I guess the other news now is that this trade and everything that happened with Ben Simmons and James Harden. Ben Simmons is still not playing. And then Shams has a tweet today that says that he is dealing with lower back tightness as he is trying to get back in shape to play. And I'm just at the point where I don't care anymore. Brooklyn, it says here, Brooklyn has no set timetable for Simmons' return. It's uncertain whether the 3-time All-Star will clear necessary return to play hurdles for Nets' March 10 return trip to Philadelphia, but the team is treating it as a day-to-day process. He's going to play the day after Philly, isn't he? He's going to be that guy.
I don't know if he wants to show his face in Philly again.
No, I don't think he does either.
Yeah, he's going to get booed so hard, man. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that would probably really motivate me, but I don't know. I don't know what kind of mental state Ben Simmons is in right now. I mean,
right.
He could be really, really fragile right now. He could come out of the gates and be the best player in the NBA. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I'm guessing not.
Yeah.
But, it's but, I saw this on, floating around on Twitter quite a bit over the last couple of days, but it is kind of a funny point. It was like we had all these guys at the beginning of the season, all these old timers that got brought back into the league on like a day's notice. It was like Joe Johnson's going to play with the Celtics tonight,
right?
And he's been cleared. And it's like, how was Joe Johnson cleared to play with the Celtics when like Ben Simmons is like, I haven't played in about a year and my back hurts.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing to me. I mean, like, Joe Johnson's like 40.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, man, it's just kind of just so weird with it. Like, at this point, he has to know, like, everyone's just kind of sick of shit. And I'm not sitting here to say, like, he didn't have, like, mental issues or by any means. I would never, ever, ever go that far. But it seemed weird how he was, like, really acting about everything. And, Joel, like, trying to offer, like, his hand and stuff like that and not going anywhere.
Well, I mean, you don't know how everybody reacts to criticism differently. And
right.
I don't think that he handled it as well as some other players have over the years. I've never seen a wholly, when you get thrown under the bus by your coach, which is bad, which is really, really bad.
Move.
It shouldn't have happened. He should have had his back regardless if he thought that he was the worst person on the planet. He should have had his back. Joel Embiid, the biggest player on the team, also throwing you under the bus. That would be pretty hard, to be able to come back from that and just feeling like nobody really has your back when you've came out and played hard and you made one pretty big mistake in a really big game, So it's I feel like he's kind of gotten like the same sort of shaft that the guy did who caught the Cubs baseball, 15 years ago.
Oh, good old Steve Bartman.
Good old Steve Bartman, yeah. So I feel like he's gotten the same treatment.
So I'm with you. Yeah, it's pretty rough. It's just kind of obviously I want to see Ben Simmons play. I want to see him be healthy. I want to see how this works because, like I said, the idea of those three together sounds awesome as far as Kyrie's defensive limitations. And I think Kyrie plays hard on defense. I just don't think he has the skill set necessarily. I don't think he's like DeMar DeRozan where he gets lost on defense all the time. But I still think that, like, he tries on defense most of the time. It's not like Harden. Like, you can see in those like last few like Brooklyn games with Harden, he was like fuck it, just go right by me. I don't care. Like
Fine, yeah. Well, he checks out a lot. If things
he
aren't going his
does.
way, he does. He's just like, I don't care. What's the matter? I gave him
Yeah.
30. I give him 35 tonight. What else you want from me?
Yeah, it is. You're right. So I guess we'll talk about one more shitty situation before we get into a good one to end the show. But we'll end this segment. Such a weird segment. But I'm sure you kind of saw it. It was floating around the internet quite a bit. But CJ McCollum, as we know, got traded to New Orleans.
Yeah.
And he was asked about Zion and said he had not spoken with Zion since he had been traded. And this is like after the All-Star break. So this is a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And he said, but I've spoken with people who are close with him. So that leads to JJ Redick coming out and just like destroying Zion, which deservedly so. This is no like pitter patty party for Zion Williamson. Talked about how he's like, look, he's like, I was his teammate. Would I say he was a distant teammate at times? Sure. Like, it's just common like knowledge and like common like decency to as a teammate to when someone gets traded to shoot them a text or give them a phone call and talk to them. And then shortly after that, it comes out that Zion and CJ have talked. But there's the thing where the New Orleans Pelicans also sent out the like emails for season tickets next year. And they were like, we're so excited about this future with Devontae Graham and Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum. Not
no mention of Zion. Well,
I mean, named Zion Williamson.
So which is mysterious to me. Very mysterious. We've seen, and I'm not dogging on Zion, but I'm gonna dog on Zion. We've seen the commercial that aired at the beginning of the season with him. I think was it a Mountain Dew commercial?
Yeah, him and Levine when they're playing 2K.
Him and Levine, and I don't know if it was the angle or what, but he looks like he was in really not basketball shape, should I say? If I'm being really nice. There were rumors that were floating around that he was over 300 at some points. He's had chronic foot problems. They've been so vague about, how many he might need another surgery, and that surgery may need another surgery, and it's just been nuts. I mean, and I've said this to you in private texts before, I wouldn't be shocked if we never saw Zion again, to be completely honest with you. Like, I'm serious. Like, I know you're like, oh no, he'll come back and whatever. If you were going to bet right now, if like you had to put money on it, how many more NBA games do you see in Zion's future?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, he's already only played like 100. You know what I mean? So.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, and he got drafted what, 2 years ago?
Yeah, that's the thing is like they've like played okay lately without him. They got they got that win over Phoenix on Friday. They play the Lakers tonight. They'll probably win that game because Anthony Davis is out, and so you have to kind of feel like this. Maybe they don't need him. I mean, the ceiling of them is yes, like. You have him, your ceiling raises, sure. But with Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, so to answer your question, I don't know if I necessarily have a number I can like feel confident in saying. But would I be shocked if he's playing for the Shanghai Sharks in a couple of years? No.
Okay. I'm willing to bet just by how weird this situation has been, and I don't know. I just feel like I've seen this happen. I've seen this story before with some other players, that were overhyped. Zion's a big dude. He's one of the most athletic, small power forwards that I've ever seen in college basketball. He's so dominant, so fun to watch. I'm saying this like I love watching him play. I think he is.
I do too.
He is so fun. He's a fun prospect. But if I were a betting man right now, I would say he plays less than 100 more games for the rest of his career. I'm throwing it out there.
He needs a Moses Malone. Like there's always a story with Barkley and Moses when like he was like, "Why am I not playing?" And Moses was like, "Because you're fat."
Yeah, that is such a big problem for these teams that just like trade all of their assets for just young players. You have no veteran presence on that team, and if you don't, not just veteran presence, but like a guy who's been there before, like just
Right.
a guy, somebody who has NBA champion experience or, former all-star experience, things like that. When you take all of those players away and you just ship it out for youth, it can be a dangerous situation. And, I don't know anything about how Zion is right now, if he's
No one
gonna play,
does.
but so it's been really, really mysterious. And I don't know, man. I'm just not feeling confident. There's people on podcasts talking about, oh, he may ask out. Who's gonna want him?
I think someone will take a chance on Zion Williamson.
I mean, sure, but what kind of assets are you going to give up for a guy like Zion?
That's
Such a
the
question
thing.
mark. Such a question mark. You know what I mean? It's like, it was like when, DeMarcus Cousins ended up, getting traded originally. It was like, he was kind of a question mark, So, and he's really never quite been the same since he was traded.
Man, he was so good though. Like right before he got hurt in New Orleans, that
He
were
was.
awesome. Like
He
they were
was.
so good.
He was. I agree with you.
I wish it just he's one of those like, man, he's definitely one of those if he had just not gotten injured kind of guys. Because he cares. Like he was
Yeah,
he
does.
works hard and like kind of thing. So yeah, absolutely. I don't know, man. It's just kind of with Zion, it's kind of frustrating. And I thought the Knicks were going to be a thing that made a ton of sense because he so badly wanted to play there, and RJ and Cam Reddish are there, but Tibbs traded for Cam Reddish and never plays them. So I don't know how that's looking for them in the future, but I guess we will see. So
Tibbs is out at the end of the year, man. Tibbs is gone.
Yeah.
Nah, he's gone.
Shout out to Ben. Ben called it. Remember
Yeah.
that when we did the beginning of the season? He's like, "What team's not going to live up to expectation?" He said the Knicks.
Yeah.
And then he also picked the Warriors to win the title, and he might be right there as well.
They gotta have Draymond though.
Yeah, that's definitely the biggest thing for them. So, all right, let's talk about some fun. Let's talk about something fun before we get out of here because I feel like everything's been a damper so far.
It's just because it's just been your attitude, Tim. God, lighten up.
Well, I think we could spend the 20 minutes on the LeBron, Rich Paul, Genie Bus meeting, but everyone's
No.
We're good.
We're good.
We did it. We've done that all year.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Synergy Sports has put out some statistics. Obviously, they're a wonderful place. Of the best isolation, the best scorers, the best go-to scores in the NBA this year.
Okay.
I'll give you one guess. Who is the number one go-to scorer in the NBA this season?
DeMar DeRozan?
DeMar DeRozan.
Yep.
So, obviously last night his 35-point streak ended and the Lakers lost to Memphis. I mean, the Bulls lost to Memphis. He had 30 still, which is still a cool streak. Just not as cool, obviously. So, these are per Synergy Sports. DeMar DeRozan's points per 100 possessions, 113.3. 17.2% of his possessions are in isolation on 241 possessions, an effective field goal percentage of 51.5%, only a 5.4 turnover percentage, and is going to the free throw line at a 20.3 rate. So we've talked all year, obviously, as Bulls fans and NBA fans, just about this amazing year he's had and how fun he's been. And how we definitely feel like he needs to be in the MVP conversation. I don't certainly think he would jump Embiid or Jokic or Giannis right now, but I certainly think he should be the fourth guy in that conversation.
Yeah.
It feels, like Paul George a couple years ago, his last year in OKC, where it was like, okay, he's not going to win it, but he certainly needs to be in the conversation, have a discussion. He's just been like, obviously we could say so much about him. And the fact you've gotten to know him a lot more too has been so fun because he's doing all these podcasts. He's going to be on Sneaker Shopping, the Complex YouTube show soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So probably talking about his insane Kobe collection that he has like so many rarities that no one else has. And he's just so fun. And like watching him on a nightly basis, like I always appreciated his game. I definitely was one of the guys I was like, well, if he started shooting threes and now he's like, no, I stay true to myself and the game came back to me kind of thing, which I really love. Obviously we knew how good he was, but watching him as Bulls fans, seeing him play for our team has just changed it so much, obviously.
Yeah. And, here's the thing. So let's say I don't have any high hopes that the Chicago Bulls are going to retake the number one seed by the end of this season. just because of the injuries that have
Yeah.
just plagued them over and over again, losing Pat Williams for the entire season, and then not having their two best defensive players at all. I mean, it's killing them. It is absolutely killing them. And there was a stat going around last night that they can't beat any teams that are over 500 right now. So it's like you're not beating any real big winning teams. However, you're beating the poor teams. Now, they had a really easy schedule early on in the season, and now these next 8 to 10 games are brutal for them. They're going to be absolutely brutal, and they lost a really tough game to Memphis after fighting their way back yesterday. If DeMar DeRozan continued, let's say he restarts this streak and he starts, averaging 35 again and shooting 40-50%, and they do end up getting the number 1 seed, would it be preposterous to put him, 1 or 2 in that category? Because I feel like the East it's fucking brutal this year, man. It's a meat grinder.
Realistically, no. But you know how this goes with media narratives, so they're going to talk a lot about Joel Embiid carried the Sixers without Ben Simmons, and then they got James Harden, and I totally agree. I mean, it's not like I'm fighting that case. DeMar DeRozan and the Bulls have gotten to combine between the two 8 total games since Christmas of Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso.
Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, you think about that. It's like, they've made do with a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Javonte Green's been really fun and really good.
Javonte Green, one of the best values right now in the NBA has been.
I love his
Javonte
nickname.
Green.
His nickname is Woo.
Woo, I haven't heard that. I haven't heard
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
Okay. I must have missed that one. But between him and Ayo having an amazing rookie season, way better than we expected, and Kobe, coming off the bench and providing decent minutes, you
Now
got a really
Tristan
good team. Tristan Thompson coming in, providing a solid backup right now to get some boards, get some dunks, stuff like that. Defensive presence, on the inside. You got a little bit of everything, but without Lonzo Ball, without Alex Caruso, your defensive rating just plummets on that team, and it has. It's been awful, and their next 10 games are they're going to be brutal.
I still feel really confident in the Bulls.
Okay.
I know Zach Lowe was just on Simmons' pod the other day and talked about he doesn't think they can win the title, and it's like, I mean, we've seen when healthy, when everyone's together. When everyone's together, this team's really freaking good. Now, look, I get it. They don't have Durant. They don't have Embiid. They don't have James Harden. They don't have Giannis. Sure. Yeah. But, talent-wise, I feel like they can really hang with anybody.
Yeah, they can. They can hang with anybody.
Like you said, Pat Williams has just been cleared to shoot. So, that's good news. Lonzo Ball, I think they said ramping up his basketball activity. Alex Caruso, they said he's ramping up activity. So if they can get these guys back a couple weeks before the playoffs and get them in a little bit of rhythm, awesome. Is that likely? I don't know. But I think the Bulls are going to become a really attractive place for guys for role players who want to play for a shot at being on a really good team in the future. Even with Levine's going to sign back. I'm fully confident Zach LaVine will be a Bull next year.
I hope so.
Yeah, I just can't see a case where he walks. It's going to take a lot. Because they brought these guys in for him.
Yeah.
And he's absolutely loved that DeMar's become the guy. He's not upset about it. He's cool.
He has been an outstanding teammate this year, just an outstanding. But I mean, looking at their next couple games, they're playing the Heat tomorrow in Miami. Then they visit the Hawks, who they barely beat the other night. And then they go visit, and then they're back home against the Bucks. And the next game is the Sixers, and they've never beat Joel Embiid.
Such a weird stat.
It is. It's scary. I mean, let's just go. I'm already gonna go ahead and chalk that one off. They play the Pistons. They might be able to rack up a win there. Cavaliers and Bulls. That's a tough matchup. Kings ramping up. And you got the Jazz, and then the Suns. I mean, these are. Then you go to the Raptors. And then the Bucks, Pelicans, Cavaliers. This is a tough schedule over these next couple of weeks. I mean, that's going all the way to the end of March, man. And it's, you're going into April towards the end here. Their last 6 games, it's Clippers, Heat, Bucks, Celtics, Hornets, and then Wolves. And the Wolves aren't like a slouchy team right now either. So it's like
Nor the Hornets.
neither are the Hornets. Yeah, these are all mid-tier teams. We're not just playing the Thunder every week right now. So this is going to be crunch time. They have probably one of the toughest ending schedules, and when the dust settles, they might be a 4 or 5 seed. I mean, everybody is so close right now in the standings. I'm hoping they don't drop that far, but they very well could.
As a Bulls fan, I really love the fact that we're having this conversation. As an NBA fan, who's just someone who really appreciates and loves basketball, I would absolutely love a Bulls Cavs 4-5 series.
Yeah,
it would be so fun because both teams are so enjoyable. But
very, very, very close.
Yeah, I mean, then the standings are kind of there. The Cavs are without Rondo now, so I don't know how that's gonna, how much that's gonna hurt them, if at all. But yeah, I think it's just kind of a lot of fun. Obviously, the East is a blast. I'm still pretty confident. I like the things they've done. I really feel like Billy Donovan should be in consideration for Coach of the Year. I think he's just done tremendous with all the ins and outs he's had with all the injuries and be able to keep them afloat. So yeah, man, it's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun. But I think we got everything out that we needed to for our end. Very excited to see you on Tuesday. Very excited.
Yes.
To go
Happy
Batman
see the
week. Batman. I know.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Sean and I got the hookup to go to the Fan First showing. So we'll be there, and
we're gonna be dancing into that Theater Party Man by Prince. It's gonna be great.
Can't wait. Party Man, baby. Yeah. Well, awesome. Sean, thanks, man. I know this is a little bit of a goofier episode, but when we come back, we'll be talking with Taylor Bergfeld. We'll do a little at-large bit because we had the craziest day in college basketball maybe ever. So we'll be back.